everyone and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, where today it is time to begin working on the post-game combat content for Heavensward. Starting off with the optional dungeons. Our minion for today is Wind Up Aldgo. I did last week do a test, a series of tests where I tried out playing on PC to record this, in the hopes of being able to have better graphical quality, because I got very lucky at a very good Christmas holiday season and ended up with a almost brand new graphics card for ridiculously cheap. Graphics card's working really well. Unfortunately, my computer apparently just can't quite manage to record and also play the game at the same time. It doesn't seem to be a graphics card issue, it seems that I am processor bound, which is incredibly funny because this is still a pretty damn good processor. I probably need to tweak some settings a bit more. I'm working on it. Honestly, I have a hunch that it might not even be processor either. Technical details, not something to worry about. Anyways, we're back on PlayStation 5 for the foreseeable future. Hopefully someday I get a capture card capable of 4K 60 capture so I can do 4K, maybe even on PC. That could offload some of the work onto the capture card instead of my processor. Would be really nice. Or even just record off the PS5 in 4K, but whatever. Today we are getting started with the first of the optional dungeons for post-game Heavensward, starting with Sanu Vanu here. Has Reap What You Sow. Sanu Vanu would seek your aid in asserting the authority of the Zundu chieftain. The great Netherling warrior who chased the clouds from our land returns, like gentle zephyr wind. Sanu has plea and hopes Netherling lends an ear. Zundu takes shelter from the Vundu storm by virtue of peace offerings and respect commanded by Zundu chief. Now, though, the rains threaten to fall again. The symbol of chief's power is the great mask he wears, a mask that grows old and worn. A chief who wears shabby mask is a chief who commands as much respect as a summer day's drizzle. Tribal mask is made from the scale of the waukkeon, a giant sanua who nests on Neverreap, where the Vanu Vanu are forbidden to go. The wicked Vundu seek to hoard power and influence for themselves. They seize control of Neverreap and forbid poor Zundu from entry. But they cannot keep out the great Netherling who tamed the White. Go to Neverreap, Netherling, and snatch the scale of the waukkeon from Vundu's evil clutches. Tonu Vanu will be your guide. He awaits you outside the village. Pray go swiftly, Netherling, and chase away the coming storm. Alright, let's go see if we can't help out with this. We're gonna be going as machinists for the day. And looks like we are flying... oh, very far away from the village. We're going all the way up to the northeast corner, and this will require flight, it looks like, to reach. Full map is explored because we've been doing fates. We did the Sea of Cloud fates recently. That should have been yesterday's video, in fact. But we ended up exploring the entire map. For the most part, you should be able to explore the Sea of Clouds on foot. In the southern half, you can follow the path to get up here to this upper level. And then I think you can go this way up to here. Regardless, if you start from Zundu, you can just follow the path up here. Follow the wooden stairs up. That'll bring you over here. Or alternatively over here. Which, yeah, covers basically the rest of the map. The rest of the core of the map. The only places you can't reach without flight are here. These islands up to the north and around the edge. And that's about it. It's a pretty well-connected area, but it's also a lot to explore without flight, so most people just use flight to explore it. Alright, landing by the entrance. Hello, Tonu Vanu! Tonu Vanu waits for the Netherling warrior, and Netherling comes. Netherling braves Neverreap to retrieve the waukkeon scale for Zundu. Tonu's heart flutters in the gentle winds of Netherling's kindness. Neverreap is sacred land to the Vanu Vanu, but Vundu come with our wicked ways and transform Neverreap into a tempest of terrors. Watch your tail feathers, Netherling! Alright, let's go over that information on the dungeon. Neverreap, Sanu Vanu, chief of the Zundu, faces a tempestuous predicament. Already facing an upwind battle to shelter his people from the warlike Zundu, his mask, the traditional symbol of power in Vanu society, has grown old and worn. Should it crack and its authority with it, the peaceful tribe would be powerless to stave off the coming storm. Venture into Neverreap, the sacred isle of the Vanu that has been overrun by the Zundu and the vicious beasts in their thrall, and emerge with the scale of a mighty waukkeon that the sun might shine on the Zundu once more. Alright, we'll be back in a little bit with my friends as we head into this dungeon. Alright, we are back with our party. Let's get going into Neverreap. We did have a couple of moments where we did have to pause briefly. One of our party members was baking bread at the time. So that'll be mostly around just before and after the second boss. Welcome to Neverreap. Optional dungeon that a lot of people don't really see. I welcome you to Neverreap, brave netherling. Take thunder eggs in hand, place thunder eggs on an altar of the clouds, and winds will swirl and carry you deeper into Neverreap. But be warned, for their great dangers await. As usual, when we are going with a party of friends, we are going on mine difficulty, and I'm going as machinist today. Not going to be too difficult, although it is mine. The big gimmick for the first part of the dungeon, at least, is going to be these thunder eggs we picked up, where, as mentioned by our friend back there, we're going to be placing them into various altars, which will create wind paths that lead us forward. So, place one into the cloud altar. And the tornado begins to launch us forward. Except now we have tornadoes to actually deal with, so we're going to want to be careful around those. They will fling us into the air, do damage, and just generally be a nuisance. Thankfully, Machinist has a very, very simple rotation just in general here at this level. And on top of that, is very powerful with how good Drill is. Why is Drill so powerful? I don't understand. Why is it on a 20-second cooldown and one of the most powerful abilities in the game? Especially at this level. It's ridiculous. Alright, just push past the Wamoras and the Tokotokos. And it looks like our first boss is going to be just ahead. And as usual with ranged DPS, AoEs are a gain on 2 enemies, as opposed to the standard 3. Alright, egg into altar. And off we go to the first boss. Where we've got Nunyanunk, which is an interesting boss, has the introduction of a gimmick that we'll see a few times throughout the game. Not too frequently, but frequently enough. It's going to conceal itself in clouds. We need to find where it is and communicate to our party its location. If you are not in voice chat with other people, the standard way to communicate the location of an enemy like this is by jumping up and down. Jumping is a very effective form of communication in this game. Once we defeat the shadow, the mist will dissipate and we'll be able to return to fighting the boss. And Nyun will also be dropping feathers. I believe they're just going to be doing damage over time to us, so get rid of them. Alright, the mist is up once more. Take care of the shadow nice and quickly. Take care of the feathers. And we're good. In fact, it went so smoothly that I had to double check we were on mine settings. When synced, the fight will go a lot faster. We just weren't getting hit nearly as hard as I expected. Alright, our first break's gonna be around here, possibly after the first enemy trash pack. But it is coming up. We'll go ahead and skip through it so you don't gotta wait, of course, but there were 3 brief breaks we had to take throughout this duty. The bread just came ready at about the worst possible time, basically. Or the most inconvenient time. You know, it does feel kind of bad that we're fighting tree ants and Vespas in this area. Fighting the Zundu tribe, not a big deal. Wait, oh god, I always get it confused. Zundu or Vundu? I'm pretty sure we're friends with the Vundu and enemies with the Zundu. I probably have it backwards. I always get it backwards and I feel so bad about that. But it's one thing to fight them. Yeah, we're enemies with the Vundu, friends with the Zundu. Okay, I think I had it right. It's one thing to fight them. It's another thing to fight tree ants. When you fight tree ants, you feel like you're doing something wrong. Unless they have actually gone rabid and need to be put down for the safety of the rest of the forest, but that's in the 12's Wood. Alright, enemies down. We're going to take our brief break right up here, and then we'll take care of the second boss. Alright, second boss is also got some interesting mechanics. Mechanics that don't really come back that often, if at all. There's basically one core mechanic to this fight that makes it interesting compared to other fights. And that should be coming up fairly quickly. Yes, the totems! Stir to life they do at Kanu Vanu's command. Come, my totems, crush this netherling like the vile insect it is. So, there's going to be a big ring in the middle, or wherever it gets placed, and a bunch of totems will spawn. We need to pick up these totems and move them out of the ring. If any are in the ring when the ring disappears, they will come to life and become enemies. They'll become ads, so we want to try and make sure those totems don't get left alone inside the giant circle. Alright, more totems are dropping. Make sure to spread them out as much as possible. The more spread out they are, the less likely they are to be a whole bunch in a pile. And it does take every member of the team, except maybe the tank, working together to get these totems out of there, because you will, especially on mine, you end up with a lot of totems. Which is to say, if you know about how the mechanic works and you neglect the totems, that is griefing. That is against terms of service. The clouds come and skies darken. No, it cannot be. Alright, moving forward, we got one more break here. This is our second one. Then the third break will be right before the last boss, I believe. Alright, Thunder Egg's going to open the way for us by bringing up some land from below. And we've got Divine Wasps to deal with. See, if they're divine, it makes me feel really bad about this. Alright, our second break is going to be right here, I believe. Let's go ahead and skip ahead. And then onwards to the end and the last boss. Up here, even the Dalmals are divine. Continuing to feel really bad about this. I'd say probably stay out of the geysers, by the way. I can't imagine they're going to be fun to stand in. They're probably going to give debuffs and or damage. Would not be surprised if they give a drop C debuff, which increases your vulnerability to water damage. Again, why is drill so good? I love it. And there's the waukkeon that we need to fight. Let's do it. Alright, waukkeon's got a few mechanics to watch out for. Which we'll get to as they pop up. Alright, first off, we're gonna have Divine Mist add spawn. Standard ads, just take care of them so they don't do extra damage to us. We got Divine Gales. When the Divine Gales appear, the waukkeon becomes immune to damage with a wind shield. It will also begin running wildly around the arena, trying to hit you and knock you off and cause just a lot of pain. Defeat all the Divine Gales to get rid of the shield, and that will let us return to attacking it. Once the shield is gone, it will also use a knockback, so be sure to get close, so it doesn't literally throw you off the edge of the arena. Use Arm's Length or Surecast if you have it to make yourself invulnerable to knockback. And then tornadoes are going to start charging through the arena and causing problems themselves. And now 2 tornadoes, because we just can't have nice things here. And once more, we've got Divine Gales to deal with. As before, take them all down to remove the shield, get ready for the knockback. And we are very close to the victory here. I believe we should have a limit break coming out fairly soon, since we're coming up on the end. I forget if we made it to limit break 2 or if we pulled it early. Pulled it early, fair enough. Probably we're not going to make that limit break 2. And we're good. Alright, let's return to Past Me and I'll meet you outside of the dungeon. Alright, we are back. Sanu Vanu! The trip to Neverreap was pretty productive. We killed the waukkeon with very little issue. Netherling wears a triumphant look of one who weathers the storm. You returned from Neverreap with the waukkeon scale, yes? This Sanu knows. I have it indeed, the rounded scale of a giant breed of Sanua known as waukkeons. The Vanu Vanu have found their oval shape suited for the creation of tribal masks. Netherling bears the scale, and it is a mighty one indeed. Fashion a mask from this, and Zundu Chief will command the authority of a furious storm of lightning. But that is not all Netherling accomplishes, no. Netherling chases the cruel Zundu from Neverreap, returns halcyon winds to our sacred land. We Zundu are not like our cruel Zundu brothers. Gentle like a spring breeze, we welcome Netherlings with open wings. Sanu's heart is warmed by the gentle sunlight of your friendship. Promise us that you will remain a friend to the Zundu for the many seasons to come. Will do! And with that, next time on Final Fantasy XIV, the other optional dungeon for patch 3.0. I will see everyone next time for that.